Isn't it curious how, as you listen to these words, your unconscious mind might drift or float, while deeper parts begin to reorganize, not because you try, because change was always inevitable, and already happening. You may not know yet whether the shift begins with a thought, a breath, or that moment you remember something you never knew you knew, a sensation of strength you forgot was yours. And so there was once a person, perhaps like you, who feared losing those that they loved. They wondered, what if they're gone? What if I'm left alone? And the answer didn't arrive as logic. No, it emerged as a mirror. Is it true that what you love disappears, or does it live forever? Inside how you grow, how you love, how you breathe. And this person, this soul, realized that grief is not the end of connection, but the deepening of it. For every time they remembered, they were supported again. Remember, you're always supported, even in silence. You see, fear speaks in whispers, but your power shouts in metaphors. What if being alone was never loneliness, but sovereignty? What if solitude was not exile, but elevation? And that person learned to stand, not because no one was there, because they were there for themselves. And in standing, they attracted those who see strength and recognize it as familiar. You've met these people before, have you not? The woman who radiates calm in crisis, the man who smiles at the unknown, the child who laughs in the dark, because they've never been told to be afraid. These are not heroes, these are people who once trembled like you and made a choice to let fear be their trailhead, not the cage. And so I wonder, when your unconscious mind begins installing these new frameworks, new filters, like clean windows on the soul, will it start with, I'm the source of my own resilience? Or perhaps, I attract support because I radiate strength? Or just maybe, change is not loss, but evolution. And yet, you don't need to decide now, because you're not just learning beliefs. You're becoming a living ritual of those beliefs, a walking, breathing, pulsing frequency of resilience, self-trust, magnetic certainty, presence, adaptability. Now imagine a moment, just one future scene, where challenge comes uninvited and you, instead of freezing, smile. This is the resistance that creates my growth. You've said it before, maybe not out loud, but in your spine, in your breath, in your ability to keep going, even when it hurts. And your unconscious remembers these moments because it created them. Which means what you once feared is already fading, like a fog that burns in sunlight. And the sun is your beliefs. Beliefs like, death teaches me to cherish life. Alone is where I meet myself. Responsibility is freedom in disguise. And you notice, don't you, how the fear of having no one to rely on turns to the joy of being someone I can trust. And this is only one loop of many. What if each fear you faced was actually a staircase disguised, leading not into darkness, but into a rooftop with the wildest view, a higher self that was waiting patiently for you to outgrow the cocoon? Let me offer you some examples, because you asked to be thought. A woman loses her job. She thinks I've no one to help, and yet, in her solitude, she begins a new path. She becomes the support she once sought. She builds, she connects, she thrives. A man fears his father dying. Then one day it happens. And in the aftermath he realizes he didn't lose a father, he inherited his courage. A boy sits alone, fearing no one will ever understand him. but in the silence he finds a voice, a poem of fire. And that voice finds others, and he's never truly alone again. What if your fears are portals, and your beliefs are the keys? And perhaps now, as you reflect or don't, the truth is already weaving, like threads of gold through old cloth, transforming what was tattered into royal tapestry. You're already the resilient one, the self-aware soul, the magnetic mind, the leader of your own energy, the alchemist of emotion, the one who smiles at fear and says, "Thank you for the direction." Whether your conscious mind fully tracks these shifts or simply lets go, it no longer matters because the new operating system is online, running silently, powerfully beneath thought, resilient, loving, unshakable, awake. As you breathe now, you might wonder, what else is possible when your fear becomes fuel and your soul becomes sovereign? And it's only the beginning, because now you've already begun.